Okay, we've got a few more minutes because this little gathering was supposed to end at 9 o'clock.
Wow.
And it being Gaurang's, it's a Saturday and...
No. There's no hurry to end it, but just we can talk, look at your art, talk about that.
Okay, yeah, look at the art, okay?
Maybe you can walk us through some of your pieces and talk about your pieces.
Yes.
Some of that rather than just...
Well, if I need to talk about the art, I wouldn't have painted.
That's true.
Okay.
So the works should speak for themselves, please. But first of all, I must say thank you to Kheng. That was really quite, for me, it's quite a privilege to listen to someone who's got ideas that are just revolutionary. And maybe not quite time for them yet, but hopefully it'll happen. I don't know where we went wrong, but I always thought architects were not that dumb, but now I'm...
No, we're pretty dumb.
We are dumb. They are dumb like
That's
everybody
why.
else. They're no different from anybody else. They are
That's
dumb.
why they always end up painting in the end.
That's right. We all
So-
painters at heart.
So there's hope here.
Cave drawings.
Anyway, we were supposed to have Art Fazil this evening because I kind of imagined that architecture and design was going to be a heavy topic with Kheng Soon involved, and he's excited to talk about. And then I saw Art yesterday because I thought I just prepped him for this evening, and then he tells me that because of Hari Raya he cannot be here tonight because his parents have scheduled a gathering.
Who is this?
Art Fazil. Now, Art Fazil is a musician, and I knew Art from school days.
Well, you just have to do this again.
And so it was great because yesterday I met Art at Holland Village, and you should have seen all those guys.
Last
They just
Saturday.
stood up and said, "Wow, this is a legend." I was walking next to a legend. I didn't even know that. And I said, "Art, tell me what have you been doing?" So tonight I wanted Art to be here, not to talk about just his music, but also just the idea of the Singapore artists.
Oh, yeah.
How it's been, the journey for him as a musician, and I thought, I could just sort of slot into, the idea of how me, wanting to become a painter in Singapore.
So what's your journey then? Your journey?
Thanks, Tyler, for asking. Well, it started, the way I started with Gaurang, it started in Chip B. I remember I ended a relationship, and I moved in one of those townhouses, and Gaurang was a young man from India, our foreign talent. And then there was another chap, Steve Thompson, a British, who married a local girl and produced beautiful Eurasian children, which, genetically they're stronger and, whatever. And so I was, and then there I was, a Singapore, Punjabi, Singaporean, trying to paint, trying to figure out the visual. But then our Chipbi enclave was very international, and I didn't have a lot of contact with Singaporean people. So I didn't know what was going on with HDB building all this ugly public housing and all that. I had no idea what was going on there, and I don't know what was going on. But I knew what Della Butcher, who was the first gallerist for the visual artists in Singapore, I knew what she was doing. She was the one who got Liu Kang and all those now very well-known local artists who are being shown at the Venice Biennale soon, I think, I don't know when, but. So I met Della towards the end of her career. I continued her work, her name I thought should continue because she was the first to have discovered the local visual artists. I'm surprised the National Gallery do not have some kind of a plaque for her to say that she was the one who discovered all these wonderful local. Now, Singapore, being a Singapore artist is interesting because we don't have a long history. Very young country. And then in those days, it was the idea of, identity for a while when we were 2 million people. And then it was just a little bit of talk, and then it fizzled out. And then suddenly, like in 2 days, a whole lot of people turned up at our doors from China and India and all over the place. So it's become a very interesting space. So as an artist, I don't know where I stand, to be honest. As a Singapore artist, I just don't know what is it that I'm supposed. I can't do the bumboats, the river I can't do the HDB flat, it's done. David, thank goodness, he visited us a few times, so we became a friend, so that's why a portrait was done. First of all, he was the first chief minister, and was a Jewish person. Those days, now we have trouble with getting a minister because of his race or whatever, it's like a big deal. Those days, it was a lot easier, I think. So the Singapore artist, I think as a concept is interesting. It's something that's not been addressed. So I'm hoping that like tonight is actually the first. I started with a kampong idea. Gaurang wasn't very impressed because he's the foreign talent and kampong is not his thing. He comes from a place where history is long and beautiful and he's got so much material there. I come from a little island. We don't have a lot of history, and so, he wasn't impressed with my jalan-jalan and my kampong concept. He said things have changed. Indeed, the island the changes are amazing. So how do you catch up? How do you go with it? You probably can't. But to listen to someone like Kheng talk about the future and what can happen is quite nice. There's hope, right? So it's not so depressing. Not totally depressing. So
Manjeet, you mentioned you
it's
don't
not
know
question time yet, Kush.
where-
Hang on.
I want to bring you back to when you were talking about your art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Too short.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
You said that paintings should speak for themselves.
Yeah.
To some extent they do,
Yeah.
but it helps us to better appreciate it if you were to actually.
Okay,
For
this is
instance,
good. All
who
right.
are
Because
these
that just
people?
enhances
Yeah,
our.
who are these people?
So the thing
Who
about
is this person?
Or like for that example, when you mentioned David Marshall, like a lot of people may not even know that he's David Marshall. All the whole
That's the other
Singaporeans,
thing.
all the whole Singaporeans would know, but like the
Yes,
new generation,
That's right.
they have no idea that
That's
David
right.
Marshall.
So I've become a little bit irrelevant as a Singapore
And your
painter.
point about him being a Jewish minority
Yeah.
and being chief minister, and to think of the kind of discussions we have about race and prime ministers, it's remarkable.
That's right.
It's such a regression, in fact. Yeah. So
That's
we-
right.
In fact, I forgot. About David Marshall's race until you mentioned it. It's pretty remarkable.
Remarkable, yes.
Remarkable.
Yeah. That's
How
right.
race has become so relevant suddenly.
Can I do a pitch for my own channel? Yeah, so
You have a
I'm
channel?
Friday Conversations. We are public speaking, public education group, non-politically affiliated. And recently we did a talk. We invited Singaporeans from all walks of life, Singaporeans living abroad, Singaporeans different races. So P.N. Baoji was one of them. Who else do we have? We have C.S. Chong, who talk about the different dialect groups in Singapore. We also have Singaporeans living abroad like Terry Su in Taiwan, To Han Shi in Hong Kong. Who else? Joyce Lau in Marseille. Was it Marseille or Seville? Seville, Spain, southern Spain. So get their feedback on how does race, or do you see race as an issue in modern Singapore? And all of them agree. Nowadays, in the context of Singapore, race is not an issue. And in fact, all of them, I think, said that CMIO model should be abolished. Chinese, Malay, Indian, others. What's that? That is the colonial tactic that was passed down from the British, and it's no longer relevant because families nowadays are mixed races, transnational. My wife is Indonesia. Pising's wife is from where?
From here.
Huh?
From here.
From here, okay. But okay, there are a lot of mixed marriages and all that. So it's really irrelevant nowadays. So I really think race is really not an issue.
I disagree.
I disagree completely.
I disagree completely because race is always and will always be an issue.
That I agree.
Yeah.
And-
you
and
can't
it-
just dismiss it.
You can't just, I wish in an ideal
How
world,
can you
yes,
do
but
that?
it's not true. And it's a rabbit hole that I wouldn't want to go down at this
Yeah.
point, but it definitely is still.
Especially the majority culture.
Oh, I mean, I recognize that I'm a privileged Chinese here, the majority race. So excuse me. But I don't think young Singaporeans, they see race. They're quite colorblind.
Do you believe so?
Yeah.
Do you believe that young Singaporeans don't? I don't know. I can't speak for young Singaporeans.
Young age.
Who are these people?
Who are these people?
So Manjeet, okay, all the discussion on race aside, that is fine. But tell us about your art.
Yeah, tell us about your art.
So that's what we came here
No,
for.
for instance, is that self-portrait?
I wish. You know, I thought it would be more provocative maybe if I had put this little thing down and then, you know, but
What size is the braca?
no, this is actually, what's that guy's name? I'm quite influenced by Modigliani.
Modigliani,
Now,
yeah, the
going back to the
mountain
Singapore artists, right? The quality that I really love after all these years of sort of looking at artworks from Singapore and you know, the Eastern and the Western fusion is very natural. And the Singapore quality, that's where it's at. And you can see it. I think I somehow managed to have it after about, 30 years of work, just trying to figure out. So you don't see the Indianness in it. You don't see the female or the maleness of it. Like you can't tell that these are done by a female or a male painter, can you? Just because. Well, I think I was very interested in the post-impressionists, the French, because they were working with light. Cézanne started this idea of, light, that's where colors come from, light. So it was easier to work with light rather than to work with, culture and tradition. And the French too, they have long history. And to be a French painter is actually a lot harder than to be a Singapore
What does it
painter.
mean to be working with light? I don't understand.
Okay, Taiho, colors come from light.
Correct.
Okay, so you're really working when you look at something, you're like pixels, pixels.
No.
So if I look at you without the personality and all that, you're just pixels of colors put together. So as a painter, I will see you first like that.
Okay.
And then I will add the character after I get to know you, you're my model, and then you want to be my muse.
That's the
You'll
basis
talk.
of Impressionism, isn't it?
What?
Impressionism.
Exactly. I mean, what is that? Pointillism and all that, they started that.
Pointillism.
Yeah. So, the post-impressionists were just so progressive, and I was just. So, was there a local painter that Georgette Chen inspired me? When I first saw Georgette's rambutans and all that,
Yeah,
I wanted to know who's this person? Who's this painter?
Yeah,
And,
mooncakes.
and the mooncakes and the lobsters, right?
Did you have training in art?
Yeah, I went to LaSalle, Brother
Okay.
McNally, yeah. So
didn't know that.
my teacher was Dutch. And actually I wanted to do ceramics, pottery with Iskandar Jalil, but he rejected me.
Oh,
He said, you haven't got it, and don't waste your time coming to my class.
He's very
Oh,
fierce.
wow.
Very direct.
Very fierce.
Very direct.
Very fierce. I
Yeah,
was
he
so
schools people,
nervous.
Well, but
I'm
it's
so
true,
nervous,
but I'm
Tayo.
glad he did that because I think painting is your forte.
And then years later, recently, I was at his show with Azra, and he actually remembered me. And when came, and then the wonderful thing when he said to me very in a soft voice, "Are you still painting?" So I thought that was nice. That he has not seen any of my work, but to ask that question was kind of nice.
He's a good educator.
Yeah, it's so. He only picked 2 students every year, and I just couldn't do it. I didn't hack it. So, painting for me, I think eventually, the idea of identity. I never got into the Singapore scene. I never got into the system. So I was sort of protected by this Chip B thing. A foreign talent was brilliant. Look at go around, right? I still live in a little HDB flat, and look at where he lives.
It's rented.
Or whatever, right?
That's the means to.
And then,
No longer foreign now.
What's that?
No longer foreign since
There you go.
2010.
Now-
He can say la.
2009.
He can say la.
And I don't even, I haven't even gone into the Punjab thing, the Indian thing, like heritage, because I'm a Singaporean.
Can I ask, most of your paintings here are of a different period than now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What is your current painting stand?
I don't know. I went to Canada, and for about 12 years I stopped painting.
Oh.
I built a temperate house,
Oh.
not a tropical house.
Oh my God, you could have talked about that.
Well, yeah, it was a
Was it
different,
like Bawas?
different idea. That's tropical house, mean.
Sorry.
I'm talking about temperate where you have to keep
Yeah,
on
so it's like,
So you stopped painting it.
then I stopped painting. I figured it was like there was nothing happening. I don't know what was going on. I just didn't, I wasn't accepted with the establishment.
Well, you were a
Even
mother,
though
right?
two of my works are in the National Gallery, I was always the outsider or the vague. Maybe being a girl doesn't
But
help.
you
And
had
then
an
Georgia
exhibition
Chen had
there.
the same problem. She wasn't really part of the system.
But you had an
Or part of the
exhibition.
But she's
establishment.
privileged.
Eventually she was.
No,
And
but
you also had an exhibition in
No,
Canada.
she's a privileged person.
Yeah, her parents are.
Yeah, very
Who are you talking about? Who's privileged? Who's on
Georgia Chen.
Georgette Chen.
Well, I'm Punjabi. We are always privileged.
I like that. But someone asked you what are those three?
So,
this three. Who are they?
so Sweet Bill is sold actually. I just sold that yesterday. And then there's
Is that imagination?
Boy Blue and Chinaman. That was racism. That yellow man is my little. But I've never felt that there was racism in Singapore among
That one
Singaporeans.
is what, your imaginary friend or what? The
Yes.
Yellow one.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Lehui. These are imaginary friends.
Ah,
that I
But what about all these Buddhist?
Well, this was the idea. I mean, this was a collection, and it came after I did lots of women, and then somebody was about to label me a female painter, which I didn't really like, and I thought, okay, I better start doing some monks. But the whole idea was the emotional complication from women and their problems was so heavy. I wanted, the close eye faces, so that it's like you can look at me, but I'm not engaging with you. It was after that.
I don't know, someone's.
The anti-Mona Lisa.
Just push the door. Ask them to push the door out. There's the
No,
thing.
that's very tough because I was in there for a whole 5
Me
minutes.
too.
Oh my God! Yes.
I know. I need to sort it out. Let me
It's the Hotel California
The
apartment.
joys of post-war houses, right? Yes.
Can you share with us how do you interpret the roses?
Yeah.
What's there to interpret? They are roses.
Yeah,
How
now
do you
it's
even
just-
recognize them as roses?
No, because my interpretation
Yeah.
is that of little pockets of hills
Mhm.
being shaven off the greenery
Yeah.
and the land crying out, bleeding.
Wow.
So if I were
I
to
see
turn
this
the
as-
painting the other
I
way
see
around,
this from the angle of the sky, looking at the forest in Gerik, Kelantan. A lot of the forest hills are being shaved off in similar patterns.
Oh, really?
And what this painting is talking to me right now is that the land is bleeding blood.
You blame Glenn Knight because he's just below.
He's just sitting there.
These are
right?
not roses to
He
me.
colored it, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, like that.
So
Very cheap.
no, so I think it's important.
Then you're affected.
It's important that we should have the courage to look from a different perspective and be undiplomatically frank, similar to our dear professor. But he paid a very high price for
Still
being honest to his beliefs.
What about the
No.
fact that this painting is the only one that actually is a disparate spread, right? Compared to all the other single focus paintings.
Yeah.
So is there a reason for that?
No, have you ever thought about this perspective?
First
Because
of
I see
all,
the greenery
I don't do flowers because I find them just spectacularly.
boring.
No, they're masterpieces, and you can never reproduce masterpieces that way,
That's
right?
true.
So I don't do flowers. I mean, I don't even. It's good that you
No,
have
but
that.
I'm just sharing a
Glad to
different
grab and talk to you.
perspective.
What?
No, sorry.
We do lunch,
No,
Ming.
I mean, an artist is a very personal. Art for an artist is a very personal endeavor. You know, the viewer like yourself or anybody else, right? You can interpret anything you want.
Yeah.
It's not really relevant to
It's
the
not
artist.
relevant to me.
You see?
Yes. I had a nice quote. I was preparing a little speech, but I always kind of forget the note at home, and I figured let's just keep it open and see what happens. You know, it depends on the audience. You know, someone did say a long time ago that I'm a bit of a decorator, that my works tend to have that decorative quality. And I don't mind that, because I think that the home has to have decorative artworks. And if it matches your furniture or whatever, why not? It's all part of the design, right? Even nature is very decorative. Look at all the leaves and all that, right? They're all decorated. The way we wear our clothes are decorative, so why can't artworks be decorative? And look at Klimt, Gustav. He was totally decorated, right?
His
Gold and all.
landscapes, my God.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you know, that's just the work, right? Painting is the work. But then the Singapore artist, tonight I just want to at least introduce the idea that I would like to continue, like gatherings like this, inviting, rejects like Kheng Soon, and I'm sorry that we miss Art Fazil, because I've heard his music, it's quite, and being a Malay musician, most of them don't make it in Singapore. They have to go to Malaysia and Indonesia, which was interesting for me to find out. Like, that's where the market is for them. And I'm thinking, do I go to Punjab too? No way, it's like, no way.
You obviously have had a lot of interactions with artists in Singapore and Malaya, right? What is your feeling? What is their feeling about being an artist in Singapore? And what is your feeling about being an artist in Singapore?
One of the things that I would be very interested, I know since you guys are media people, is to interview ministers and find out what their art collection is all about. Like, what do they put in their homes, What do they collect? What do they buy art themselves, or do they have?
No, they don't collect, because whenever they go, they do an official function, they are given one.
That's even terrible.
No, they don't know art. Most of the ministers don't know art.
So that's an interesting
I would dispute that. Dr. Goh Keng Swee, founder of the SSO, he was a firm believer in arts and music.
Okay, so he's the exception.
Yeah.
But everyone else is not.
But he's the exception.
So it would be nice
He's
to
an
have him
exception.
talk about his collection, like what made him choose those pieces. I mean, we had some great pioneer artists. I think the fact that even artists exist in Singapore is amazing. It's like this little seedling out of concrete, and so I have a lot of respect for Singapore artists, that they managed it despite censorship.
Who are the artists that you would single out as exceptional in Singapore?
I love Liu Kang. I know the group went to Bali to find that tropical vibe.
That's the Nanyang group, right?
The Nanyang group. Georgia Chen was also Nanyang group.
Nanyang
she had
group,
the
But
French.
she didn't go.
Oh, she didn't go.
She didn't go, yeah.
Well, she was advanced. She had the French, the Western,
Yeah.
and
She was privileged.
yeah. And in the Indian modern art, there's a painter called Manjeet Shergill. She's also half Hungarian, half Indian. So her works also have that wonderful fusion of East and West, which Georgia Chen also has. So those qualities are beautiful, and I look for them. Like I can immediately say, yeah, that's it. You got the Singaporeanness of a.
You like Chong Su Ping?
Yes.
What about Liu Chong?
I think these are pretty
They
original.
are the same group.
Same group.
Yeah.
But they all came up with original, styles, which is amazing. Usually people tend to, become groupies, and then they paint the same stuff in the same manner. But Singaporean artists, painters, they have managed to carve their own unique style. And I think that's pretty
The one artist that really hit me was Latif Mohidin. Do you know him? Do you know his work? Latif Mohidin. Actually, he's a Malay boy that studied in a Malay school in Singapore.
Yeah.
He developed in Singapore.
But he became Malaysian.
He became Malaysian. But the work is amazing. It's amazing.
No, he's probably now the biggest Malaysian artist. She's come.
No, I need to just finish this off. One quick question. There are some of you who have not seen this collection first time. I would be very interested to, because some of the people here, they have seen the artworks before. They're familiar. Like Azra, she bought my work some years ago, and she's very familiar. but some of you have not seen those works before. So I would be interested to know what's your first impression of the works. Did you get a chance to move around a little bit?
Yeah, I think I would say everybody, you can just move around now.
Please move around and have something to eat and have a drink.